All right. What's up, everyone? So it is season 3 Mandalorian watch party time. Well, almost. The episode hasn't dropped yet. So, anyways, how's it going? Let me know if you're here in the chat. Currently scrolling through. I probably need to, at this point, start staying off Twitter. No, there wouldn't be any spoilers on Twitter yet. It's not even out. How are you guys doing? Can you hear his voice sounding clear and good volume and everything like that? Got a little room to up all that if needed. Patrick, how's it going? 40 minutes to go. Hopefully less. It's supposed to be dropping at 1 a.m. But yeah, hopefully. Hopefully not quite 40 minutes. How you doing, Patrick? 20 minutes. There you go. That's more like it. That's the number we're looking for. Patrick, you got any sick predictions for this episode? What do you think is going to happen? I think that we will spend most of this episode on Navarro. I think that clip that we saw a couple weeks ago, that quick little one of Grogu and Mando talking to Grief, I think that was probably going to be a big part of it. Star Wars Grand Moff, how you doing? Welcome, welcome. I think that the main thing that they'll do in this episode, I don't know. I mean, you think about the season 2 premiere and how much they accomplished there. So it makes you think that they're going to have to accomplish a lot in this first episode, but I don't know. It'll be Navarro centered for sure. I bet you they'll give us a little bit of a recap too on what's going on with Bo-Katan and the Darksaber. I could see that. I could maybe see Boba Fett in this episode. Um, that would be interesting. I think they could do that, and that would be a pretty low impact. I'm not saying I'm not hoping for a low impact episode. I think that Boba Fett could be a good little bridge from the Book of Boba Fett into season 3 of Mando, because they've obviously been telling those stories pretty closely related. They've been continuing Boba Fett's story and Mando's in each other's shows and all that stuff. So I could see a Boba Fett appearance in this episode. It certainly mirror the first episode of season 1 or 2 when they revealed that Boba Fett was alive. So that'd be kind of cool. Yeah, I did get a bunch of snow actually. I just looked outside and it's pretty snowy out, which kind of surprised me. I have, to be honest, I've spent most of the night playing Warzone, so I haven't really looked outside until like I went downstairs to get this coffee. And yes, I'm drinking coffee this late because we're gonna go from this watch party to doing as much as I can on the breakdown. Hopefully, I'm able to get it done, but we'll see. What about you? Did you guys get a lot of snow? Patrick says recap Navarro and 5 minutes of closing credits, all crammed into one 35-minute episode. Yeah. I this is one show that I trust that they're going to use those 35 minutes well. Obviously, I would love to have another hour long season premiere like they did with season 2, but it's okay. I trust that they're going to give us quality, so that's all good. Yeah, I wish that we got Bad Batch a little bit earlier too. I'm still trying to figure out when I'm gonna work the Bad Batch into my schedule this week. I'd like to watch that episode as soon as possible, but I'm not sure when that's going to happen. So we'll see. We'll see. Grand Moff's got no snow. Patrick's got snow. Oh yeah, 35-minute banger episode. It's gonna happen. I can feel it. I can feel it in my bones. I wonder if we'll see. I wonder if we will see Moff Gideon in this episode. Huh. Because at this point he would be in New Republic prison essentially, so that could be cool. Mando first, the Bad Batch second for me. Oh yeah, for sure. That's how I feel. That's obviously why we're doing a Mando watch party instead of a Bad Batch one, and um, why I'll be prioritizing Mando related videos. But I don't want to forget about the Bad Batch because it's I think it's going to pick up here soon because we're in the second half of that season, and I think it's gearing to something that's pretty darn cool. So I don't want to forget about it, but obviously Mando's priority. Any cameos you're looking forward to maybe happening this season? So all the talk around this season, whether it's Dave Filoni or Jon Favreau especially has been talking about all sorts of different things, and there's been some really cool interviews that he's been doing over the last couple days where he said things like, "This is not even halfway for the Mandalorian. The season 4 is already in the works, all that." So to circle that back to cameos, that makes me wonder, like, all right, is this going to be a season? If they're playing the long game with this show, is this going to be maybe a season where they take a lull or it's maybe a little bit slower? They set up some things. That's initially what I thought. But Jon Favreau has been pretty clear in saying, like, yeah, this season is going to exceed expectations. I don't know if you watched if you're on Instagram at all and you've been keeping up with the Mandalorian's account, they've been posting on their stories all sorts of things from the premiere, and the guy who plays Moff Gideon, Giancarlo, basically said, yeah, this season is going to exceed all your expectations. So all that to say, I think there's going to be some pretty big cameos that are going to be awesome. I think that I would like to see another Jedi. I think that seeing, obviously, a big fan theory was Mace Windu back during season 2. That would be something that would absolutely break the internet. I'm not sure I quite see a way that they fit him into the story without it being weird. I think if they're going to bring Mace Windu back in any way, he belongs with Boba Fett's story. I think that brings it in a little bit better. Um, Thrawn is obviously a cameo that could happen. But I think that if Thrawn shows up in this show, it'll be just that, a brief cameo. Maybe even kind of the way that season 2 of The Mandalorian ended, where they gave us that teaser of the Book of Boba Fett. Maybe this ends with a teaser of Ahsoka. That's cool. I see. Okay, yeah, older Cal. That would be awesome too. I could see them trying to utilize Cal a little bit more, especially with Survivor coming out, and even like the end of this show coinciding with the release of the game, which I do think that part of the reason that game got delayed was so that it wouldn't be too cluttered. Because if you March was pretty darn cluttered with Star Wars stuff, and I hate to use the word cluttered because that makes it sound like we don't want this stuff, but a lot of content all at once. I can see the business side of it. Let's spread this out a little bit more so that fans can enjoy The Mandalorian and then they can enjoy Jedi Survivor. It is, and then the Bad Batch is just kind of there. So yeah, cameos in season 2 were enough for me. No more. Yeah. So Patrick, I kind of feel similar to you there. Obviously, like I'm a sucker for cameos. I love them. So I like if you threw Mace Windu on the screen, I think I would be overjoyed, and that would be exciting. But I think I'm with you there. As if I step back from that like initial excitement and really think about the story, I think that the season 2 cameos did a really good job of building excitement and like showing the importance of this show. So I think that the cameos in that season were enough for me, and that if they didn't have any big crazy cameos in season 3, I wouldn't write off the show or be super disappointed. So all right, we got 8 minutes to go. Refresh it there. Just let's see. Oh, it's up. Guys, it's up. Okay. So if you haven't done one of these before, the way that we're going to do this watch party is it's not anything different than any other YouTuber that does these types of watch parties. The goal is that we are all able to watch it together. So what's going to happen here, I'll switch my screen a little bit so that we can walk through it. So what we'll do is I've got the chat rolling here. I've got my camera, but then I've also got this. Let me get it to the right spot here. There it is. Okay. So I've also got this timer here that I'll start it. I'll start the episode and this timer so that we can all be kind of tracking and watching it at the same time. So anyways, that's how this is going to work. It's up. I'm not going to waste any more time. We're going to get this thing rolling because I am absolutely excited for this. All right, let me start the timer. And we're rolling. So let's go. Watch this recap. That's a quiet intro. Is she making a helmet? Yeah, she is. Who's it for? Could be a flashback. I don't think so, though. Oh, jeez. Oh. I don't think blasters are doing anything. What if the armorer dies? Hey, there we go. That's cool. Wow. What an intro. The Apostate. Okay. There's our title. Have we seen that before? Hmm. What? Oh, what are they called? Those are the hyperspace whales, essentially, that Thrawn and Ezra got blasted off with. That's cool. That's definitely foreshadowing something. There's Navarro. Yeah, I think we called it. Spending a lot of time on Navarro. PG-11. I wonder if his boss is Hondo. Oh, never mind. Like 20 minutes left of the episode. Yeah, I can't actually show the episode on the screen, so that's the timer is showing how far we're into it. So you gotta watch it on your. Yeah. I feel like it's usually always 1 a.m. Mm. Oh, I gotcha. I know. After 2 years. I do watch anime. Only recently though. So I'm all for recommendations if you have any. There he is. Oh gosh. Oh, what is this? This is stuff with nightmares. I did not expect that. I don't think it wasn't Hondo. It was Vane. Is that Babu Frick? It is. I haven't watched Attack on Titan yet, but I'd like to. Oh gosh. uh, I've watched a lot of Dragon Ball, Studio Ghiblio stuff. I love how a Starfighter just sounds like a friggin' Mustang or like some muscle car. The muscle car equivalent of a Starfighter. Yeah, I might start with Attack on Titan. I've been looking for something new to watch. I'm in United States. Trandoshan. Oh, what if we do see Hondo? Oh, that's not Hondo. He's Davy Jones, basically. Ooh. Oh, okay. Was that? I bet you we're gonna see Bo. Hmm. She's not doing well. Oh, already. Yeah, now it's time for the pain of waiting another week for an episode. This concept art is always one of the coolest parts. Hmm. Stop that timer here. Okay, so we got we got a good amount of stuff in that episode. Yeah, what'd you think, Patrick? Take some notes here of some things that I want to include in the breakdown. I thought it was good. I I think the most important thing this episode does is establish the amount of time that's passed. And I don't know if you've caught up on some of the recent news that came out. Like, I mean, literally, like this evening, there was all sorts of news about the podcast that Jon Favreau was on, where he talked about some of the timeline of events and how he basically said that the events of season 1 and 2 spanned many years. Is I think like the quote that he said, many years. So that makes me think a few years, which that's way more than I thought. I would have thought the first 2 seasons spanned over maybe like a year tops. And then the time that Grogu was with Luke was 2 years, according to this interview that Jon Favreau was a part of. And that initially was hard for me to see, but now this episode actually, I think, did a really good job of establishing the time that's taken place. It's very clear in almost every interaction that Mando has, and I think they did this intentionally, that a lot of time has passed. It's clear when he shows up to Navarro and it's a completely unrecognizable planet. Obviously, in season 2, they clear the Imperial, what turned out to be a lab. They cleared that, and that created room for Navarro to be its own trade like anchor within the Hydian system, or I think that's the Hydian hyperspace lane is what he said. And we can see that time has passed and they've been prosperous. So that was cool. I think that was important to know in terms of timing. And then also talking to Bo-Katan, it's clear that it's been a while. Some time has passed, at least long enough for all of her plans and all of her soldiers and what she had set up to retake Mandalore. All of that kind of disintegrated. And so those are kind of two things, the prosperity of Navarro and the decline of Bo-Katan. Those are all things that would take some time, would span a couple years at least. So it kind of helps me see that, yeah, okay, I could see that Grogu was actually with Luke for a couple of years. So yeah, and honestly, like, also, yeah, Bo is not in a good place right now. I think she's kind of hit rock bottom. She's here on this palace clearly by herself. There's no other Mandalorians in sight, which is very different than what we've seen her so far. We've seen her usually escorted by at least a couple other Mandalorians, part of her Night Owls clan. And in this, she's got a droid that's greeting her guests at her Mandalorian castle, which that's cool. I didn't Mandalorian castles. That's a concept I hadn't thought of. But yeah. So she clearly, I think, is also going to have her own redemption arc of sorts. I'm yawning. It's so late. Yeah. So I think so far to me it feels like a big theme of this season is the idea of redemption. Obviously, that's Din's main storyline now, is finding redemption after removing his helmet in season 2, and he's got to go now. So what we now know, what he specifically needs to do to redeem himself, is go into the mines and bathe in the living waters, essentially. So yeah. Yeah, the space. So the pirate king or captain. I'll have to go back to see his name, but yeah, he that was a wild looking character. Really reminded me of Davy Jones from Pirates of the Caribbean. So interesting. Uh, we talked about Gina Carano. They ripped that band-aid off. Talked about the fate of Cara Dune. They ripped that band-aid off pretty quick. They did exactly what I imagined they would do, which was essentially just explain what she's doing off screen. So I guess the official story is that after she brought in Moff Gideon, she got picked up by some New Republic special forces, and yeah, I honestly, it was okay. I didn't feel weird about that at all. I didn't know. I was worried that was going to be maybe a cringy explanation, but yeah, it was fine. I guess we'll see how the season progresses without her. We'll see if there is any sort of void left by her being gone, but I think there are enough other characters that I think it'll be okay. So yeah, High Magistrate Grief Karga. Yeah, he's spectacular looking. He's a character that's really grown on me. So I rewatched season 1 and 2 to prepare for season 3, right? And he grew on me. The first time around, I just didn't really care for his character, but I like what he brings to the story. I like his story, and especially after this episode, yawning. Seeing his goals of essentially creating Navarro to be a place that is its own independent trade hub I like that. I think that's kind of cool. Yeah, Patrick, I agree. Love the part with Gideon and Dune. So I forgot what he said about Gideon. What happened with that? I feel like I was mostly processing what he said about Cara Dune. Obviously, Gideon is going to be still in the story. So yeah, that's interesting. Overall, really, really good opening episode. It wasn't anything like wow factor wise in terms of cameos and things like that. I think they established where the season's headed, and they recapped some things, and I think what they did is they introduced us to essentially the key players here, the the characters that we're going to need to pay attention to this season. They established those for us. Obviously, Din and Grogu. It's their story. We're following Din as he redeems himself. And I actually think that this is going to end with him realizing that he doesn't need to follow this Mandalorian sect the way that he has been following. I think that's kind of where he'll get to at the end of the season. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I think he'll kind of break away from the way. And then we've got Bo-Katan. We need to pay attention to her story too, because I think she's going to also have her own development, and I think that she is going to realize there is something beyond just retaking and ruling Mandalore. I think she's going to have to wrestle with her purpose outside of that, and she clearly at this point is at rock bottom, kind of has lost her drive, her purpose for what she did before, or what she was hoping to do before. So I think we'll see her reclaim that. That'll be an important part of the story. I think Grief's story and the growth of Navarro is going to be important too. I think that it actually has potential to even maybe be in conflict with the New Republic, and we might have to wrestle with that as well. We might have to wrestle with the idea of the New Republic not being so great either. So yeah, very solid episode. Yeah, I'm satisfied. I think that did what I needed it to do. It set up a lot of things. It answered some questions. It recapped some things, and it gave me. I've got a pretty clear idea of where this show is headed for season 3, which is something that doesn't always happen. I didn't feel that way after season or episode 1 of Book of Boba Fett. I didn't feel that way after the first episode of Bad Batch. So recently, yeah, I didn't feel that way after Andor either. Not to say those episodes and those premieres didn't accomplish that. I'm just saying this is a good, efficient episode. It was only 35 minutes long, and it efficiently accomplished what I think it needed to do. So, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, we didn't even talk about the opener with the Mandalorian foundling, and I don't know what that was. That giant, I mean, it was literally just a giant alligator that came out of nowhere. I wonder if they knew that was a possibility, or if they're just displaced in a new planet where they don't really know much about it. Because kind of what we know is that they were at Navarro. They had a hideout in Navarro. They were driven from there when they decided to help Mando escape with Grogu in season 1. And then we lost track of them a little bit. I didn't get around to being able to rewatch the Book of Boba Fett episodes where Mando interacts with the Armorer and Paz Vizsla. That's the big Mando. So I can't accurately remember what exactly happened there, if there's any detail that shows us how we got from Navarro to this desert looking planet. But yeah, that was cool. Obviously, so we saw there a mix of banners. There were a bunch of different banners, which to me says that within the Children of the Watch, which is the Mandalorian cult that Din grew up in, that the Armorer's part of, it shows me that there are a variety of different clans within that cult, and it's not its own separate clan. It's a collection of clans that have kind of come together for survival. The whole thrust of the Children of the Watch, the whole way, is the purpose there is to protect and to survive as Mandalorians. That's why they didn't remove their helmets. They didn't remove their helmets because if they did, that would allow Imperials, for example, to be able to track and say, oh, there's that Mandalorian. We see him. There's one. But if they kept their helmets on and kept that mystery there, it would always leave the Imperials guessing, and that was part of their survival. So, anyways, yeah, that was cool. It was cool to see that ceremony of essentially introducing this foundling into the way, and obviously he got his helmet fresh forged and is tasked with not removing that, which is what Din did. So that's where he's on the path to redemption. So yeah, really cool. Armor still full of herself. Yeah, I'm curious what they'll do with her. There was a moment there, not gonna lie, where I thought they were going to kill the Armorer. So yeah, well, there's a ton here. I really enjoyed this episode. I think that it's going to be a really awesome and well done season. And I think that we now have a good idea of maybe what we can expect in terms of things that are coming next. Next week, we'll obviously, Din and Grogu will go into the mines of Mandalore, which sounds like it's underneath the capital city of Sindari. that's the dome city that we see in the Clone Wars and Rebels and stuff like that. Um, so we'll see that next week probably, and I wonder if we'll also get. Let's see, who did we catch up? We caught up. Oh man, we've decided that I need to go to bed. So we've caught up with Din and Mando. We've caught up with Grief Karga. We got our Cara Dune catch up. We caught up with Bo-Katan. And who else do we need to catch up with from previous seasons? I'm not so worried about catching up with Ahsoka. I think that she's getting her own show, and I think they'll focus on her story through that. I don't think that we need to catch up with Luke in this at all. But I'll probably make a video of it once I maybe do a little bit research of my own. But timeline wise, if the amount of time that they're saying has passed really did pass, then I think that we're actually getting closer to probably like things like The Force Awakens, and I don't think it's gonna, obviously not in this season, we're not gonna get to the events of The Force Awakens. We've still got a ton of time chronologically until that happens, but I think we're inching closer to that than I thought this show would go. So that's just a thought I had. Yeah, that might be a video I do mapping out this timeline, because it's a little bit more interesting now than it initially was. So little Bobby Fricks were cute, bit of comic. Yeah, they were awesome. That was cool. Yeah. So anyways, I'm gonna get working on this breakdown. I'm hoping I can finish it tonight. Well, I guess this morning at this point. Might catch a little bit of sleep before I do that. But anyways, I really thought this was a good episode. We'll do this again next week, and we will see what's going on with Mandalore. So have a great rest of your night/morning, or I guess afternoon, because there are a few of you that are on the other side of the world, and it's afternoon for you. So thanks for joining this watch party. We'll do this again. We had about 5 to 6 people watching. That was kind of our big, that's when it kind of peaked. So next week, I'd like to have this watch party have maybe 10 people, which I say that, and that's not a big number at all. Obviously, there's other YouTube channels that have a lot more, but you know what? That's not what this one is. Whatever number of people watching, we will have good discussion, and we will enjoy Star Wars as a community. But that being said, I do want to grow this a little bit and have more and more people joining our watch parties here. So, yeah. Anyways, leave a like on the way out. Thanks for joining this watch party, and I'll see you in the next one next week. So may the Force be with you. And actually, I guess I'll catch you in the breakdown coming out, because that'll be the next video I upload. Have a great rest of your night.